Good morning, everyone. Just say yes. Just say yes. Isn't that what we're all about today? Okay, our theme this month is inspired by a statement that the master teacher Jesus made more than 2,000 years ago. He said, "I have come so that you might have life and have it more abundantly." So what does this mean to live an abundant life? Those of you who were here last week, we shared a little bit. But since some of you weren't here last week, what does it mean to you to have an abundant life? What does it mean?
Money in my purse.
Money, health.
Okay, it's not just money.
Creativity.
Okay,
Yeah.
what else?
Fun.
Fun. Okay, lots of ways. Lots of ways, right, to have an abundant life. What are all of those things saying? The abundant life is the life in which we allow God to express itself through us. Most likely influenced by this idea, Ernest Holmes wrote in the Science of Mind text, God is more fully expressed by the person who lives largely than by the person who lives meagerly. Interesting. So that is our exploration this month. And today we're going to look at it from the perspective of saying yes to life. So what does that really mean anyway? What does it mean in a practical sense to say yes to life? It's been said that there are really only two emotions. What are those two emotions that propel us? They are
Fear and
love and fear. Love and fear. There are only two emotions that propel us. When we are being driven, propelled, motivated, moved by fear, we are in essence saying no to life. When we come from fear, we are saying no to life. In the words of Ernest Holmes, he says, fear destroys the possibility of a greater degree of livingness to those who suffer from it. But when we are driven, propelled, motivated, moved by love, we are saying yes to life. Love, Ernest Holmes says, is the grandest healing and drawing power on earth. Love is the sole impulse for creation. Ernest Holmes also says love is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. Now I acknowledge that we are living in what might seem to be titled challenging times, right? The world around us can seem pretty scary and maybe a little bit off course. There seems to be a lot of fear in some corners of the world, right? It may seem trivial or unrealistic to be talking about living the abundant life, saying yes, living in love when we're, attacking each other, bombs going off, things like that happening, suicide bombers. Wayne Dyer, may he rest in peace, did an interview in the Science of Mind, and this was back in 2004, and in the magazine, and he said how strange it is that people want to blow themselves up to make a point or blow up other people. I always say to myself, it's not about me. And if there's nothing I can do about the way people conduct themselves, I'm not going to feel bad no matter what. I know I can't feel bad enough to make anyone who is feeling bad feel good. Wow. So no matter how bad you're trying to make yourself, you're not going to make anybody else feel any better for that. Just like I can't get sick enough to make one person who is ill get well. So I think that it's really incumbent upon us, even if we do not see these events around us, or do see these events around us in the world, to feel good in these moments. Wow, what a challenge, to feel good when you see something negative out there. And I akin that to saying yes to life, because then you can do something about it. It's in the feeling good, saying yes to life, that you've joined God consciousness and you start to radiate that out. But by feeling bad or saying no to life, you become what you are opposed to. Other people are blowing up trains because they feel bad, and now you feel bad, so you want to retaliate against them. And before you know it, we've created this force counterforce that goes on and on and on. And that's exactly what we have going on in the world around us today. I believe each one of us has a responsibility to shift the force counterforce, to use Dyer's term, balance. And we can do that by saying yes, by being driven, propelled, moved, and motivated by love. So are you? Are you motivated by love? Maybe before you answer that question, we ought to look at what living from love looks like and what living from fear looks like. So I'm going to give you a list of differences. And as I read these differences, take a personal assessment, not to get into self-judgment, just to be a little bit more aware. Maybe it's been a habit or something we've just fallen into and we didn't recognize it. But look at where you might possibly be in these. Do you fall on the side of love or on the side of fear? Love believes that success is possible. Fear needs proof that failure can be avoided. Love reaches forward. Fear holds on to the past. Love relishes in even the smallest victory. Fear judges even the smallest failure. Love looks for the best. Fear assumes the worst. Love values the return on an investment. Fear counts the cost of everything. Love embraces the potential. Fear clings to what's realistic. Love explores the path ahead. Fear analyzes the road just taken. Love celebrates diversity. Fear condemns that which is different or unfamiliar. Love rejoices in another's success. Fear is envious of it. Love pilots while being guided by the stars. Fear steers while looking in the rear view mirror. So I'll ask you again, not so that you can get into self-judgment, but for the self-assessment and to perhaps this morning create a shift and change. Are you living from love or are you living from fear? For me, there were a few in there that it's like, whoa, I do that. So a little self-assessment there. I have some improvement. I can make that shift and come from love. Are you saying yes to life or are you saying no? Whether you are saying yes or no to life is dependent upon your personal belief or our internal programming. Personal belief systems in us are like software programs in computers, right? When you use a particular software program, say Excel, anybody familiar with Excel, right? A spreadsheet program, you don't expect it to operate like, say, Photoshop, right? Or a photo program, a graphics program. They do different things. If you want to create graphics, you need to use your graphics program and not your spreadsheet program. If you want to do bookkeeping or data input, you will have to use your spreadsheet program, right? The same principle applies to you and your internal programming. If we want to have peace, flow, power, love, joy, serenity, and plenty that we have used to describe the abundant life in which Jesus promised us, then we need a belief system that supports that kind of output. We need a love-based belief system because our input determines our output. What goes in must come out. So here's another opportunity for self-assessment, not self-judgment. The person who's living from a fear-based belief system believes that the world is unsafe, that people and events can take away my good. My security and safety are in someone else's hands. I can't trust life. I can't trust others. I can't trust myself. If someone disagrees with me, it means that I could lose something. I am not good enough, worthy enough, etc. The person that's living from a love-based belief system believes that I am created in love by love and that love supports me. All that I need is provided. The universe is safe. I am supported and protected no matter what is going on around me. My good cannot be separated from me. I trust the goodness of life. I am secure. I am here for a reason. I deserve an abundant life. If we want to have love point the way in our lives, we must build a belief system that supports that perception. There is where choice plays a part. To quote Marianne Williamson, love is what we are born with. Fear is what we learned here. The spiritual journey is the relinquishment or unlearning of fear and the acceptance of love back into our hearts. That's our spiritual journey, returning to a love-based belief system. The good news is it can be done. It can be done. The person who lives in love, who says yes to life, is the person who has immersed himself or herself in activities that will support a love-based belief system. All of the activities that you engaged in, all of them, the ones that you're engaged in right now, are they love-based or are they fear-based? How are you being influenced? Who or what is having the most influence on you? The TV? Your friends? The news and race consciousness? Probably. We're all influenced, aren't we, by everything that we get bombarded with. It's time to be in this world, but not of this world. When you are living in love, who or what is impacting your belief systems more of the time? Well, these things would impact mine. I know that meditation, spiritual experiences like being in nature, being at the ocean, church, classes, book studies, reading those positive books, discussing them, listening to positive material, time spent doing affirmations of greater good, time spent envisioning our dreams, wow, time spent in spiritual mind treatment, our affirmative prayers, watching models of forgiveness and loving acceptance around you. Those are all wonderful things. Finding those positive things even on Facebook to watch and be inspired and then share. You know, things like that really lift you up to that vibration of love. I've heard it said that we learn through impact and repetition. Impact and repetition. Something impacts us so seriously that we get it. We get it, finally. It's that 2x4, you know? Because I always believe that spirit taps you on the shoulder first. Okay. Whatever. No, I'm going to keep focusing on that, and next you kind of get a little bit of a shove, and it's like, okay, what's going on? And then you get that 2x4. And okay, I get it. I need to pay attention to this. Or we hear it over and over and over again, and we get it. I often say, too, that if I hear a phrase or someone suggests a book or I hear of something from one person, it's like, that's interesting. If I hear it from two people, well, okay, I'm supposed to pay attention to this. More than that, it's like I'm getting it. So that's a repetition. So it is within your power of choice, whether you want the impact or the repetition. Sometimes those impactful moments can be pretty painful. Repetition, if you want to let love point the way, then choose over and over and over again to build a belief system that supports you. Listen to those audio recordings. They're so plentiful on YouTube and podcasts. Oh my goodness. Affirm daily, visualize daily, pray daily. So fill your life with love and acceptance that your world cannot help but point the way to greater love and acceptance. Choose life. Choose to live it abundantly. Choose to be the love you are in all of your brilliance. And choose never to believe again anything that would deny who you are. Magnificence, purely and completely. Fully and completely deserving of the abundant life contained within Jesus' promise. I want to conclude by sharing with you a poem about a woman who is saying no to life, and a little boy from a place of pure love who taught her to say yes. It's entitled The Flower. So this is the morning for poems. Disillusioned by life, with good reason to frown, for the world was intent on dragging me down. And if that weren't enough to ruin my day, a young boy, out of breath, approached me, all tired from play. He stood right before me with his head tilted down and said with great excitement, "Look what I found." In his hand was a flower, what a pitiful sight, with all its petal worn, not enough rain or too little light. Wanting him to take his dead flower and go off to play, I faked a small smile and then shifted away. But instead of retreating, he sat next to my side and placed the flower to his nose and declared with surprise, "It sure smells pretty and it's beautiful too. That's why I picked it. Here, it's for you." The weed was before me was dying or dead, not vibrant of colors, orange, yellow, or red. But I knew I must take it or he might never leave. So I reached for the flower and replied, "Just what I need." But instead of him placing the flower in my hand, he held it in midair without reason or plan. It was then that I noticed, for the very first time, that weed-toting boy could not see. He was blind. I heard my voice quiver, tears shone like the sun, as I thanked him for picking the very best one. "You're welcome," he smiled, and then ran off to play, unaware of the impact he'd had on my day. I sat there and wondered how he managed to see a fearful, sad woman beneath the old tree. How did he know of my self-indulged plight? Perhaps from his heart he'd been blessed with true sight. Through the eyes of a blind child, at last I could see. The problem was not with the world. The problem was with me. And for all of those times I myself had been blind, I vowed to see the beauty in life and appreciate the wonder of love that is mine. And then I held that wilted flower up to my nose and breathed in the fragrance of the most beautiful rose. And I smiled as I watched that young boy, another weed in his hand, about to change the life of an unsuspecting old man. Saying yes to life, saying yes to love, is really saying yes to God. Yes, God, I know that I am here to express life and express it more abundantly. Yes, God, I know that the more abundantly I express life, the more I fully express you. Join me this morning as we say yes together by proclaiming, today I say yes to life.
Today I say yes to life.
Because today I choose love.
Because today I choose love.
I see love.
I see
I
love.
reveal love.
I reveal love.
I am love.
I am love.
My life is filled with abundance,
My life is filled with abundance.
and I live the life I love.
And I live the life I love.
And so it is.
So it is.